Welcome to Do It for the Gram, an Enneagram podcast with your host, certified Enneagram coach, Milton Stewart. Where we do it for the Enneagram, not Instagram. We make moves to improve our lives and our communities. On this episode, we continue the series on Enneagram and color with a good friend of mine, Jay. I did this interview earlier this year. He's an Enneagram 3, and he also works in law enforcement and also has done some anthropology work. And so his view on how the Enneagram can impact and help people of color is very important, I think, because it has slightly a different view on how he views things when it comes to how the history has impacted people of color and created a dysfunctional norm, which seems normal and okay, but it's actually very dysfunctional and it's not helping. So listen carefully, listen closely. Jay goes into some really good things on how the Enneagram can be a non-intrusive way to actually reaching people of color and minorities and poverty-stricken people in our world. Listen up, listen in, let's go. Intro music. One thing I want to say is being Black in the Enneagram. And I would say also having some type of tool to help Black community with mental and emotional challenges and struggles. Because I feel like, honestly, that's what really holds back a lot of our community is trauma. Trauma that has really hurt us, and Black people and probably poor people in general don't really go to psychologists and counselors and therapists. One, hard to afford, but there are some free services. But two, there's just not a healthy relationship between them. And I feel the Enneagram could help bridge that gap, possibly. It can be a non-intrusive way of connecting the community with some type of mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological type help. So my question to you, or just can you speak on how do you see the Enneagram helping marginalized communities, Black communities, our community? Do you see it helping it? Could you possibly?
Yeah, you're correct on what you said. Black community is so late on help, on self-help, if you will. And that's not pointing a finger at any other outside factor.
Right.
It's just the way we are. We're tribal. We are community-based. We shun Big Brother, if you will, invading our life. We don't like to be told what to do, so we usually do things internally, but no one internally knows the way to help, if you will. So that's why in most shootings of in law enforcement, no one will talk. Now, of course, also other reasons, retaliation and so forth, but in most things that happen, if it's sexual,
Right.
child abuse cases and stuff, no one will talk. So it's like keep the information. But with that, stuff festers and people grow up with dysfunctions, unfortunately. On top of that, you also got you just deal with stuff. That's just how it is. Like, you just deal with it. You'll be okay. You just deal with it. You'll grow out of it, if you will. The hood, the ghetto. Now, not all of Black America,
Right.
where we come from, if you will, because Blacks in D.C., in Georgetown, is perfectly okay, if you will. They got their own dysfunction, but it's not dealing with what the individuals in the hood, which is a straight derivative from the sharecropping era, if you will, with that still way of life, food we eat and everything, a routine of what we do during the week on weekends and on Sunday at church and everything, where we grew up at, if you will. That mirror environment is dysfunction in some ways. For us, no dad was in the house. It was normal to see a prostitute just walking up and down the street.
And a crackhead.
Yep. And their family.
Yep.
We feed them. We feed them. I mean, you talk with them. You walk home from school, you see them. You know what they doing on Saturday night and everything? The drug houses and everything. So the mere environment was dysfunction.
Right.
And it was just a mere way of education was the way of escaping, or military. But then, of course, with that, you usually come back to it because you get out of the military in some way. But education was the key, and it still is the key in more ways.
Does your workplace stink because the culture sucks? Are you tired of tolerating people and wish you could all work together cohesively? Does the mere idea of going into work give you anxiety? If you said yes to any one of these, you should probably quit your job. But since you're not going to quit your job, you should contact Kaizen Careers. At Kaizen Careers, we are all about improving workplace performance. We use a unique tool called the Enneagram. The Enneagram helps individuals and organizations become more self-aware. That self-awareness lends into helping organizations with communication, conflict management, and leadership development, ultimately turning self-awareness into self-mastery and creating healthy workplace cultures so you can improve your services and bottom lines. Contact Kaizen Careers at KaizenCareers.com or Milton at KaizenCareers.com, or give us a call at 901-334-1644.
But with that, church has resources, but most Black churches don't have the proper resources because the Black community as a whole shun the services in which you announced,
Right.
psychs and so forth. So the Enneagram, I believe, can be a way to bridge the gap. It is non-intrusive. It's community-based. It could be done at a church. You can invite the community or whatever. And there are people who want to get better, who deal with issues, especially in today's time too, with society elevating our culture in a way, if you will. So we're getting known more,
Right.
and our issues people are talking about more. Pros and cons. But the Enneagram to me is very good to be done for the Black community as a avenue or a resource,
Right.
to help people. I do believe that. Yeah, you're right. Because then, of course, you're talking about getting to know yourself. And most people from where we grew up not knowing themselves. And of course, and when you find your identity, it's usually in some other person.
Yeah.
In the gangs, in the drugs, in the promiscuity and so forth. If it's a trend, we do it in the hood.
Yeah,
It's just the way it is.
My niece had a prom send-off, which apparently they're doing that nowadays, which I'm like, wow, it's so much stuff. Anyway, so I go over there, and my sister and them, and my nieces and nephews, and whoever all they know, they live in the hood, you know. It is so weird because it's almost as if you're supposed to assume a certain role as a male and as a female. And as a female, you have to be loud and outrageous and just a little raunchy with your mouth. And then as a male, you know, when you get over the age of being a teenager, you're supposed to stand out in front of the house and drink and smoke. It's like, because when I went there were people literally doing that. And I've noticed that since growing up until now, you know, it's like a role almost you assume when you were talking about you just kind of blend in with what becomes the norm or what you're supposed to fit in. It's just weird. I was just there and me being me, like, I'm just like, well, I'm going to go sit in this front area until she's ready and I'm going to watch this TV and I'm just going to be chill because it's too much going on and it's too much facade or too much, this is what we're supposed to do because we are like, I'm like, nah, but that ain't me though. You know, so, but it's just tough because I noticed that and I understand how you can get lost in it if you haven't worked on yourself. You can get lost in trying to be there. I see my nephew's there. He gets lost.
Malcolm X called the ghetto, if you will, a vicious cycle, he called it, because it's just, where's the way out unless somebody tell you the way out.
Yep.
And yeah, and you're right. When you go back and visit people, it's like we grew up then, and now I'm seeing my peers and co-equals now doing with their kids and their kids doing. It's like, I mean, it's amazing to go back and see a 5-year-old playing around and how they're playing and how we played. It's like, is there no progress at all? What's going on? So you're right. It's this vicious cycle that keeps going, that keeps being perpetuated.
There you go. Right.
And it's sad. Most Black people then leave, but then you leave the community, and then there's a brain drain. They're talking about the brain drain from the north to the south now in America. How everybody's going out west or back south. Most Blacks are now coming back home. When I say home, I mean south. It's called the reverse migration. Chicago, Illinois area with their taxes and everything is people are leaving. You have Houston now. Atlanta was a Black Mecca. Now it's becoming Houston. There's going to be another southern city here soon, but everybody's coming back home. Right. Morgan Freeman, he wrote an article on that because he's back in Mississippi with his farm. He talked about how blacks are coming back home, if you will. Coming back home and leaving, how blacks leave an area when they leave from that hood, if you will, you get out. Well, there's a drain of resources though, because no one's coming back to teach them the way. No one's to teachers are not coming back to educate. They usually do not care, or they're wanting to go to a certain school, or the kids are so bad that it's just a vicious cycle. But it all starts at home, of course.
Oh yeah.
Because of course within a country, within a civilization, a tribe, and an empire, a hunter-gatherer society. My anthropology degree is coming out now. In whatever society, the foundation of everything is the family.
Yep.
The foundation of everything is the family. That's what keeps it going. So, of course, that's the most basic form of how we encounter the world first, which is the family.
Yeah.
Being raised, what's proper, what's wrong, what's normal, what's abnormal, what's deviant,
Right.
what's acceptable, what's the standard, what's not the standard. If all that gets catawampus and gets misconstrued, then, of course, from there, dysfunction and problems reduces, if you will. And that's where most times you see that. And it's sad, but it's like, how do we get better?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? And you have a lot of politicians who are talking about it when it's like, well, we need to go to them, talk to them. What can we do to help you? What can we do? And the Enneagram, you can be that spearhead to start that, to help parents within the hood help themselves, which by default help the kids.
It's one trickle-down effect that actually works.
All
right, so that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Jay, for being here. Please rate, subscribe, and share this. That is rate, which helps other people to find the show. Subscribe so you can get the latest and greatest episodes, and share if you feel this information can benefit someone that you know. If you need personal life coaching or career coaching based in the Enneagram, you can contact Kaizen Careers Coaching and Consulting, LLC. You can contact Kaizen at kaizencareers.com, and that's Milton at kaizencareers.com, or 901-334-1644. Also, if you would like to be a Patreon supporter, like the ones we do have, you can go to patreon.com/doitforthegram podcast. The Patreon community has more access to exclusive content, merchandise, and input on the podcast. If you are in the Memphis area and you want to join a community around the Enneagram, you can go to Facebook and join Enneagram 901. That is Facebook group Enneagram 901. And there we're going to be having different events and different ways to communicate, connect with people in Memphis around the Enneagram. And we're going to grow and help this community become a better place. Also, the last thing, if you go to doitforthegrampodcast.com and subscribe, you will receive a free gift. It is a PDF of each number. You can also read some really good blog posts from different numbers on there as well. If you are a 3 and you are struggling with being in social situations, but it comes off as rude and you're doing things and you feel the urge to really say something or show yourself as being stronger, better, faster, or whatever in instance, remember, stop that, pause, do it for the gram, the Enneagram, of course. See you soon. Bye.